That morning, Teresa felt like her heart was breaking in two. Her granddaughter Lucia had been running a fever for hours. Her small body burned, her eyes could barely stay open, and every time she breathed, Teresa felt fear tightening her chest even more. They lived in a humble room, with worn-out walls, an old bed, and a small window that barely let in the light of dawn. They had no luxuries, no savings, only each other. Teresa leaned over the child, touched her forehead, and felt the unbearable heat of her fever. "Lucia, my love, hold on just a little longer." The girl barely opened her eyes. "Grandma, I feel very sick." Teresa swallowed hard and pressed her lips together to keep from crying. She took the wrinkled prescription they had been given days earlier, looked at it once more, then emptied the few coins she had onto the table. One by one, she counted them with trembling fingers. But it wasn't enough. Not enough for the medicine, not for a consultation, not for anything. Oh God, it's not enough. For a few seconds, Teresa stood still. Then she looked up, as if searching for strength in the broken ceiling of that room, and made a decision. The shame didn't matter. The fear didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was saving her granddaughter. She helped Lucia stand up, grabbed her old brown cloth bag, put the prescription inside, and walked out with her. The morning was cold. Teresa walked quickly while holding the girl, who could barely take steps without stumbling. "Just hold on a little more, Lucia." "We're almost there." Lucia trembled. "Grandma, I'm cold." And then she saw it. In front of them stood a private clinic, elegant, clean, bright, with glass doors, marble floors, and a reception that seemed made for people who had never known hunger. Teresa stopped at the entrance. For a moment she hesitated. She knew she didn't belong there. Her old clothes, worn sandals, humble bag, everything about her screamed poverty. But Lucia's life was worth more than any look. She took a deep breath and walked in. The contrast was immediate. Everything inside was cold, silent, and spotless. The chairs were expensive, the walls perfect. The air smelled of cleanliness and distance. Behind the counter stood a perfectly composed receptionist. Hair tied back, subtle makeup, impeccable uniform. A woman who barely looked up when Teresa and the girl approached. Teresa extended the wrinkled prescription with trembling hands. "Miss, please, my granddaughter is burning with fever." The receptionist looked at the paper, then at Teresa's clothes, then at Lucia. Her expression didn't change. "Without an appointment and without a deposit, I can't do anything." Teresa swallowed hard. She opened her hand and showed a few coins on the shiny marble counter. The difference between those coins and that place was humiliating. "I don't have anything else." "But please treat her." The receptionist looked at the coins as if they didn't even belong there, then pushed them back with a cold gesture. "This is a private clinic, ma'am, not a charity hospital." Those words hit Teresa like a slap. Lucia, weak, clung to her grandmother's skirt and coughed. Her body bent slightly from exhaustion. "Grandma, I can't." Teresa held her immediately, terrified. No, my love, hold on." She looked back at the receptionist, now without pride, without voice, without anything left but desperation. "I beg you. I'll clean floors later. I'll work here as long as it takes. Just save my granddaughter." The receptionist avoided looking at her. She turned to her screen, as if what stood before her was just an inconvenience, not a human life. But someone else had heard everything. A few steps away in the hallway, a young doctor had stopped when he heard the commotion. It was Dr. Samuel. He had a calm face, attentive eyes, and the kind of presence that didn't need to raise its voice to command respect. He approached quickly. "What's going on here?" The receptionist turned to him, as proper as she was cold. "Doctor, they have no appointment and no money for admission." Samuel didn't respond right away. His gaze dropped to Lucia. The girl was pale, trembling, defeated by the fever. Without wasting time, he knelt in front of her, touched her forehead, and looked at Teresa. "This child needs attention right now." Then he stood up and looked at the receptionist with a firmness that froze the room. "Prepare a room. I'll take responsibility." For the first time, power shifted in that reception area. Teresa felt air return to her lungs. As they took Lucia to the examination area, Teresa followed behind with a racing heart, clutching her bag to her chest. Inside the room, Samuel examined the girl carefully and quickly. His expression was serious, focused. Teresa stood to the side, not knowing what to do with her hands. "I'm sorry, doctor. I really have no way to pay you." Samuel heard those words, and something in his face changed. He slowly turned toward Teresa and looked at her more closely, as if time had suddenly gone backward, as if that tired, aged face held a memory he had kept for years. "Is your name Teresa?" "Teresa Morales." The woman looked at him confused. "Yes, but I don't understand why you're asking." The doctor lowered his gaze for a second. When he looked back up, his eyes were filled with emotion. "You took care of my mother when she was alone, and no one wanted to help her. You gave her food. You gave her a place to stay. You spoke to her with respect when the world treated her like she was nothing." Teresa stood still. Samuel stepped closer. "I was a child, but I never forgot your face." The silence that followed was different from all the others. It was no longer a silence of humiliation. It was a silence of truth. Tears filled Teresa's eyes. All her life she had worked, suffered, endured in silence. She had given what little she had when others had nothing. And still, the world treated her as if her poverty erased her dignity. But in that moment, someone truly saw her. Samuel took a deep breath, then walked out to the reception. The receptionist looked up. He looked at her calmly but with undeniable authority. "In this clinic, no one will ever be humiliated again for being poor." The woman lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes. Hours later, Lucia was more stable. Still weak, but breathing calmly. The fever was going down. Sitting on the bed, she held a glass of water with effort. Teresa, seeing her like that, broke down in silent tears. "Grandma, it doesn't hurt as much anymore." Those words were worth more than any fortune. Samuel watched from the side in silence, knowing he had done the right thing. When it was time to leave, the afternoon sun had changed the color of the day. The same clinic entrance that felt cold and hostile in the morning was now bathed in warm light. Samuel walked Teresa and Lucia outside. In his hands was a bag with medicine and papers for follow-up. He handed them to her gently. Teresa received them and held them against her chest like a treasure. She cried, but this time her tears were not only of sadness. "Today you didn't just heal my granddaughter, doctor. You restored my faith in people." Samuel smiled humbly, and Teresa, holding Lucia's hand, understood something she would never forget. Being poor should not be shameful. What should be shameful is humiliating someone who is already wounded by life. Because pain does not ask how much money you have. And sometimes true medicine
también me
begins
devolvió
with
la fe en la
compassion.
gente.
If this story touched your heart, comment humanity.